For good or bad, voices influence us. And with the advent of the internet, millions of voices contend for an audience every day. They vie for our attention. A few will be heard above the noise, mostly the ones that resemble, at least to some degree, an element of beauty and truth. There's only one problem. Not every beautiful voice bears reliable truth. Some voices are a distant echo of truth, an alloyed measure of the real thing. So we must discern what is true from what is untrue, what is real from what is unreal. But how? What standard can we use to determine reliable truth? When I was in high school, I attended my church's youth group. One night, the youth pastor asked for a volunteer to come to the middle of the room. He held up a giant Snickers bar and told the volunteer he could have it if he could find it. But there were two caveats. One, the volunteer would be blindfolded. And two, everyone else in the room could only offer directions, such as turn around, go left, go right, reach up, bend down. The youth pastor blindfolded the volunteer and hid the candy bar where everyone else in the room could see. When he yelled, "Go!" everyone began shouting, "Go left, keep going, reach up, turn around." But the blindfolded guy just stood in the middle of the room, paralyzed. With so much chaotic noise around him, he couldn't discern which voice to listen to. The youth pastor quieted everyone down and asked the volunteer to choose one friend in the room to give him directions. With only one voice giving him directions, he found the candy bar within seconds. The youth pastor's point was clear. Many voices will compete for our attention, but we'll find our way when we choose to listen to the voice of a trusted friend. I have a dear friend whose son was born deaf. He couldn't hear his mama read storybooks to him. He couldn't hear her sing over him as he slept. He couldn't hear her warn him when he approached something dangerous. Shortly after his first birthday, he had surgery to receive cochlear implants. A few weeks after the surgery, my friend and her husband drove their son to the audiologist. It was activation day, the day they would turn on their son's new ears. In the video of those first few moments, you can see his little face look up in wonder the first time he hears the machine beeping. When the audiologist claps her hands, he touches the devices next to his ears. He's making the connection. Then his father leans in and speaks to him. For the first time, he hears his father's voice. The boy turns his head and looks at his father, a smile lighting his sweet face. Most of us can't recall the first moment we heard our parents' voices. We were only babies. But I can distinctly recall the first time I heard my father's voice. It wasn't an audible voice, but it was as real as the air I breathed. God's word lay open before me. As I read the Bible, the words seemed to come alive on the page. It was July 31st, 1990, my activation day. From that day forward, I chose my father's voice to be my trusted guide, my soul's compass. Throughout history, men and women have experienced their own spiritual activation day, the day they first heard God speak to them. Sometimes God speaks to us through our circumstances. Sometimes he speaks to us through other people. Most of the time, however, God speaks to us through his word. This book is about learning to hear God's voice through his word so we can discern what is true from what is untrue. Because once we've heard the voice of our Father, the voice of the one who designed us and created a distinct purpose for us, we become like the blindfolded volunteer in my youth group who chose a friend to guide him. We find our path in life once we're listening to the voice that matters most. In ancient times,